Integration algebra, variables and expressions, and in this lesson you'll learn to evaluate numerical and simple algebraic expressions. If you look at the objective right there, we need to find out the definition of multiple terms, evaluate and algebraic expressions. Okay, let's take a look at this example. Western Park Mall offers a gift wrapping service. The cost for gift wrapping is found by adding the length and the width of the box and multiplying by 5 cents. Okay, the table below shows how to find the cost of wrapping the most common size boxes. And let's study the pattern. So if you have a box that has a length of 10 and the width of 4, okay, you add the length and the width, which is 10 plus 4, and you multiply it by 5 cents. That would be the cost of wrapping the box. Okay? And if you get a length of a box is 12 and the width of 6, add the 2, multiply it by 5. That would be the cost of wrapping. And you have a length of 16, width of 8, add 16 plus 8, multiply by 5. Length of 20, width 10, okay? Multiply it, add 20 plus 10, multiply it by 5. That would be the cost of wrapping that particular box. Okay? So, in mathematics, algebra is a language of symbols. By extending the table, using the letters L and W, L obviously standing for length and W standing for width, the following table will results. So if you have L plus W, what we did is that we simply added L plus W like what we did here, and then multiplied that by 5. Okay, so we basically talk about symbols now instead of numbers, and that's what algebra is all about. And we'll do that in 8th grade math. Okay, go into the dwell into what algebra really is. But right now, what you need to know is that it is a language of symbols, and in this case, our length and width were represented by the letters L and W. Okay, so according to what we know in terms of the cost of wrapping, you simply add the length plus the width, multiply that by 5, as evidenced by this table that we just discussed. Okay, now what does it have to do with us? Well, a lot. Okay, the letters L and W are called variables, and the definition of a variable should be in your notebook. Is a symbol. It's usually a letter used to represent a number. Any letter may be used as a variable. In this problem, the letter L represents length and the W represents width. So definition of a variable again, okay, it is a letter or symbol, usually a letter, used to represent a number. Okay, so we discussed what algebra is. We discussed variables, which is an essential part of what algebra is all about. Okay. Okay, another definition. When we say the expression L plus W times 5, okay, it is called an algebraic expression. Okay, an algebraic expressions are combinations of variables, numbers, and at least one operation. Okay, L plus W times 5 is an algebraic expression for the cost of gift wrapping, because if you look at the definition of an algebraic expression, okay, are combinations of variables, numbers, and at least one operation. You have the variable, okay, you have the variable L and the variable W, okay, and there's a number 5, and there are two operations, addition and multiplication, in this particular expression. So that's what we call an algebraic expression. Okay, the last definition we're going to talk about in this lesson, which becomes very important in the future, is the word evaluate. The variables can be replaced with any number. Once the variables have been replaced, you can evaluate or find the value of the algebraic expression. So when you talk about the definition of evaluate, it simply means find the value of, okay, an algebraic expression. And a lot of time, in so many instances, okay, there are two things you need to do when you evaluate. So when you evaluate, the first step you need to do is substitute. Okay, and that's what we call replacing the value of the variable. And then the second thing you need to do is simplify. Okay, so when you evaluate, most often than not, there are two things you need to do: substitute and then simplify. Let's take a look at some examples. Let's take a look at today's example. Evaluate 14 plus c if c is equal to 32. Again, following the meaning of the word evaluate, simply means substitute and simplify. We substitute the value of c, which is 32. Okay, so this now becomes 14 plus 32, and then simplify gives you 48. So substitute, this is your substitute part. Oh, come on, hold on. That's your substitute part, substitute. And this is simplify. So those are your two steps when you evaluate. Okay. In algebra, there are several ways to show multiplication, and these are the several ways. 3 times m means 3 times m, 3 dot m. Okay. 3m means 3 times m as well, and mn means m times n. So if you have two letters next to each other, the operation is multiplication. A number and a letter next to each other, operation is multiplication as well. 3 dot m is also multiplication, but we don't really use this that much because the dot will be confused for a decimal. Okay, so we usually use this and this when you talk about algebraic expressions. Okay, and be sure to be sure to use the order of operations when you evaluate algebraic expressions. And let's take a look at example number 3. Evaluate 3m plus 2 times 4 if m is equal to 12. Again, the first step in evaluating an expression is to substitute. So we get the value of 12 and substitute it to m. Okay, so if you do that, this is what we're going to come up with: 3 times 12 plus 2 times 4. Okay, and according to our order of operations, okay, in 3 times 12 times 2 plus 4, again we use our arrows, plus 2 times 4. Okay, multiply 3 times 12 first, which will give you 36. Then you bring down 2 times 4. Again, multiplication will take priority. This becomes 8. And then bring down 36 plus 8, arrows, 44. So the value is 44, exactly what we have here. 36 plus 2 times 4 because of 36 times 12, 3 times 12. Multiply 2 times 4 together will give you 8, and you end up with a value of 44. So when we evaluate 3m plus 2 times 4, if m equals 12, it will be 44. Let's take a look at the next example. Evaluate 4 times mn, if m is equal to 6 and n is equal to 2. And from what we've learned, mn is equal to m times n. Okay, so if you follow that, this now becomes, okay, if we substitute the value of m, which is 6, and the value of n, which is 2, okay, to this particular equation where we move this 6 to that m and this 2 to that n, this is what we get: 4 plus 6 times 2. And following the order of operations, we multiply 6 times 2, ends up with 4 plus 12, and then we end up with 16. Okay, add 4 plus 12. So the value of 4 plus mn plus m, when if m is equal to 6 is n, and n is equal to 16. Okay? Let's take a look at example number 5. To find distance traveled, you can use the expression r times t, where r represents rate and t represents time. Find the distance of a hot air balloon traveled if its rate was 13 miles per hour and it traveled for 4 hours. Basically, you're following the formula distance equals rate times time. Okay? So, what do we know? We want to evaluate r times t if r equals 13 and t equals 4. So, rate times time. Our rate is 13 and our time is 4. We simply substitute 13 times 4. Okay? Placing r with 13, t is equal to 4. End up with 52 when we multiply 13 times 4. So the hot air balloon traveled 52 miles. Okay? Lesson's done. And on Google Forms, type a summary of what you've learned by responding to the objective of the lesson, and type a question you might want to ask in class about this lesson. Thank you.